Alright, so we're going to talk one more day on interest. Okay, so by now you should actually know the formula. Interest equals what? Good. So interest is equal to PRT. Very good. No. Well, yeah, interest. You're right. Interest. What does the P stand for? Principal, which means the money. How much did you borrow? All right. Did we borrow $1,000? Did we borrow $100,000? Did we borrow $100? The rate, the R stands for rate, which means your percent, and the T stands for time in years. All right. So if I borrow let's say $50,000 to buy a car, and the rate is, let's say 5%, and it takes me 4 years to pay it back, and I don't make any payments until the very end. Okay? So what's the principal? $50,000. What's the rate? 5%. What's the time? 4 years. So how do I write 5% as a decimal? Good. You move it twice, right? And then you add the 0. Good job. All right. So first step is to find your interest. So you multiply actually everything. So 50,000 times 0.05 times 4. You're going to multiply 3 things in total. It is up to you what you want to multiply first. You can multiply the first 2 together. You can multiply the 50,000 times 4. You can multiply the last 2 together. In multiplication, you can multiply any 2 numbers that you want. Yes. So pick 2 to multiply. I'm just going to multiply these 2 together. Okay, let's see if you're right in a second. So I'm going to multiply this. I get 20. How many times do I move it? Twice. So it's 0.20, so now I can just use 0.2. So I'm going to take 50,000 and multiply it by 0.2. Don't drop the point. One, two, three, 4. 50,000. How many times do I move it? Once. Okay. Does anybody know how many zeros you have before you add a comma? So 1, 2, 3, comma. Right? So that's your interest. Your interest is equal to $10,000. That's all I'm paying? No. To find your total, what do I add? Good. So your principal plus your interest. Your principal plus your interest, right? So what is 50,000 plus 10,000? 60,000. So instead of just paying back the 50,000 that I borrowed, I pay an additional $10,000 just in interest. So the one on your quiz was you borrowed $250,000 at an interest rate of 3% for 28 years, right? It doesn't hurt to do it again. So, first step is actually change 3% into a decimal. What is the 3% as a decimal? Alright, so I'm going to take 28 and multiply it by 0.03. 24, carry the 2, 6, 7, 8. I took 28 times 0.03 and I got 0.84. Is that correct? Okay, so now I'm going to take 250,000 and multiply it by 0.84. This is your interest. 210,000. That's your interest. But, are we done? No. What do you still have to do? You still have to add on your paper, so you're not done with this problem, so I shouldn't see the pencils stop working. Second step, take 250,000 and add 210,000. So your total is $460,000. All right. Okay. Okay, let's try this one out. Okay. Let's say I borrowed $56,000. Okay. And the bank's like, sure, I'll let you borrow $56,000 at a rate of 1.5% for 4 years. What's the first thing you should do? Very good. I'm going to take the percent and write it as a decimal. What is 1.5% written as a decimal? Good job. Excellent. My other class had a very hard time telling me that. 0.015. So you move it twice, you add the 0. You move it this way. I taught you how to do this. Let me check. Hold on. November 28th. Okay? So, we shouldn't be confused. Here it is. 37.5, move it twice. Okay? So, this part is not new. You've been almost doing this for a whole month now. The new part is multiplying these 3 numbers together. Alright, so go ahead and multiply these 3 numbers together. 1, 2, 3. Multiply these 3 numbers. You choose what you want to multiply. 1, 2, 3. Go. I should see everybody multiplying. Yes. All right, ladies, come on. Okay, your interest should be 3,360. Okay? Now, what's the second thing you do? You add. What two numbers do I add? Good. So you add the principal plus your interest. So go ahead. Everybody should be able to add the principal. Juan, turn around. David, put your feet down. Okay, so this is the second time I have to ask you. David, put your feet down. And then add your interest. What's your total? So my car does not only cost $56,000, it costs $59,000 because I had to add the interest. Okay? And this is what happens when you borrow money. Yes. Yes. So that's an additional. But let's say the tax is already included in this price. This is like the car plus the tax. And so I borrow everything. I'm like, oh, I don't have any money to buy my car. So what's the total cost of my car? What's the final cost of the car, including tax? Oh, including tax, $56,000. All right. I go to the bank. Hey, bank, let me borrow $56,000. Why? Oh, because I want to buy this car. And the bank will literally give you a check for $56,000 made out to whatever company. You take that, you give that to the dealership, and they hand you over the car. Okay, I got one more problem for you to do. We can start it later. Okay, let's do it. All right. The principal is 1,250. The rate is 32%, and the time is 2 years. Go. Show me with your fingers, what did you get? Total. Yeah. Uh-uh. So here's your first check. Did you get that? Yeah. No matter what you multiplied, it doesn't, like, if you're like, oh, Miss Amelie, but I didn't start with this. Okay, so do both of the multiplication problems, and when you're done, everybody should get this. If you didn't, then you did mess up somewhere in the multiplication. Then number 2, you add. So go ahead and add. Everybody should be able to add these two numbers quickly. And our answer is? Good job. Very good, gentlemen and ladies.